morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. This is going to be our hip and lower back mobility. Sorry, I had to think about the plan for a minute. It's still fresh. This video is temporary. I actually have a special guest coming for the official video for this plan who will be able to explain this much more eloquently than I can. But for now, here's the rudimentary version of what I want you doing on those hip and back mobility mornings. So we're going to start with a foam roller. You can use any size, any density. You can pick anything that's right for you. If doing this with a foam roller bothers your lower back, you can do it flat on the floor. You can also try rolling up a towel or anything just to slightly elevate your hips. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay back with our feet flat on the floor like this. We're going to get nice and comfy. We're going to raise our hips up and set the top part of our hips right across the upper muscles of our butt onto the foam roller. And we're just going to relax here for a second and make sure that there's no tension or pain in our lower back. We can adjust the roller down or up to find what's right and the right position for you. What I want you to do then is to take the bottoms of your feet and put them together like this and allow your knees to fall open to the floor. I like to turn my toes out. I don't think that that's necessarily proper, but whatever allows you to just relax and let your hips open. You can do some breath work here. Inhaling through your nose, holding for 4 seconds, exhaling for 6. And as my favorite mobility coach, my personal mobility coach, teaches me, as you exhale, you want to say, ha, but with your mouth closed. And just feel yourself gently melt into the floor. If you're doing this first thing in the morning, I like to actually take my hands overhead and allow myself to just stretch out, which again might not necessarily be proper and not something that we might not do in the future video, but I like to do it. After you've taken a few minutes and you kind of feel your hips and everything relax and open up, what we're going to do next is we're going to put both feet flat on the floor. We're going to take one of our legs. In my case, I'm going to take my right leg and extend it out straight. I'm going to relax and I'm going to feel it gently stretching through the front of my hip right here. Maybe a little bit in my abdomen right here through that hip flexor complex. We'll take a few deep breaths here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up. Brace your core as you do it. Make sure you're squeezing tight, pulling your belly button in towards your backbone, and then bracing like someone's kind of going to hit you in the stomach, although no one's going to hit you in the stomach. And I want you to do that before you lift your leg. Think about bracing, tighten up, bringing your knee up and into your chest, and we're just going to gently pull. You might start to feel it stretch here and back here. And we're going to go all the way back out. Make sure you're bracing your core as you extend your leg. No pain in your lower back through that movement. Letting the hip on this side stretch. And now we're going to bring this up and set it flat. And do the same thing on the other side. You can fast forward the video if you're not feeling tight here. Once you've completed The same thing on the other side, taking that time to really let it stretch. Bracing your core, lifting the leg up, pulling into your chest, and again going all the way back out on the other side. Letting it stretch one final time. We're going to brace our core, bring both of our knees up and together. With our hands on the foam roller like this. Kind of gently supporting it, just keeping it from, sliding away from us. We don't want to be death gripping it. I made that mistake my first time. You can brace your core and raise one leg at a time, just like this. And then we're going to gently rock our hips side to side as far as our bodies will let us move. We don't need to force anything really deep. Pay attention to the foam roller, pressing into the muscles through your hips. If you notice a spot that's extra tight, you can spend a little time over it, just in this position, or in my case, over here. Take a few minutes, maybe a few breaths, maybe not minutes, seconds, but a few seconds, a couple deep breaths. And what we're going to do is we're going to start on our right side. We're going to bring our knees over. We're going to take our right leg and extend it all the way out. And we're going to let our left knee just kind of gently fall. You should feel a decent stretch through your lower back, but a gentle stretch. You should feel a good stretch through the outside of your hip over here on your butt. You can't really see my hand. I'll show you on the other side. And you should feel some pressure in your booty, the muscles in the outside of the hip. Let's bring that back up, that right leg. We're going to come over to the other side. Same thing. Extend that left leg out totally straight. Allow this right leg to just gently fall to the side. You might feel a good stretch here through your lower back, through the outside of your hip, across that muscle that the foam roller was just setting on. And we're going to bring that knee back up, come to the center, and put our feet back down. Make sure you're bracing your core through that movement as you put your feet down. I should have warned you beforehand, that's my fault. Again, I'm new to teaching this kind of stuff. That's why my future videos will have my special guest. We're gonna take some time to stretch your hips now, but we're gonna do some dynamic stretching and do a few things to kind of get them loosened up and ready to work out. So we're going to start on all fours like this. We're going to bring your right foot up by your right hand. And if you need to, you can actually put your hand here for a little bit of support. And what we're going to do is we're going to just lean forward into it to feel a gentle stretch here and through the front side of our hip. If you can keep your hands down, that's totally fine too. And if you want to push a little deeper, you can elevate that back foot off the ground. And in this position right here, we're just going to take a few seconds to reach through, reach up. As we reach up, we're feeling a good stretch through the outside of our hip and through the front side of our left hip. So right buttocks, left hip flexor complex. Each time as we reach forward in here, we're feeling a good stretch through the inner thigh. We're going to do about 5 of those, and then the same thing on the opposite side. Once you've completed 5 or so reps on each side, we'll move on to our next position. We're going to come up, barring that we don't have any problems with the knee. We're going to place our right hand on top of our left. We're going to squeeze our butt on the right side to push our hip forward. Like this, shoulders are backing down away from the ears. And we're going to push in and relax. And we're going to do that 5 to 10 times on each side. Make sure that you're keeping your hips square and squeezing your butt to feel a good stretch right here. You might feel it running slightly up into your stomach. That's normal, as that is your psoas. Same thing on the opposite side. Pushing in and releasing. 5 to 10 reps. Once you've finished working both sides of your hips, we'll take a quick break and come back to the foam roller and the peanut ball. Or if you don't have a peanut ball like me, you can take 2 tennis balls or 2 lacrosse balls and stuff them into a clean sock. All right, I hope that your water break was good. If you need a bit longer, take a chance to pause the video and catch your breath. No one said that mobility work isn't taxing. You might notice yourself starting to breathe a little heavier as your body adjusts to what we're working on. So we're gonna take this foam roller and we're gonna put it just above the hips. We're gonna lay to our side over it. We're gonna put our opposite elbow on the ground. So in this case, my right elbow. Anytime you see my tattooed arm, that's my right arm. And just laying back over it, we're going to allow it to gently press into the muscles of our lower back, and we're going to rock back and forth. Nice and slow, taking an inventory of where we feel tight. And if we notice a specific spot, we're going to acknowledge it, maybe stay over it for a minute or two to get a good idea of where it's at. Take a few deep breaths and then move on. Just rocking horizontally back and forth across the foam roller. Through all these exercises, and I failed to mention this because again, I'm not the best teacher when it comes to this stuff, but through all of these exercises, your goal is to keep your muscles relaxed. If you feel yourself flexing or tensing into the foam roller, then you're resisting that pressure, and that pressure is what's going to push out those knots within the fascia and the muscle fibers that are causing your tightness and immobility. After you've spent a few minutes on that side, we'll do the same thing on the other side. Feel free to fast forward if you're already through it. Remember that with these videos and with these mobility warm-ups, you're moving through them kind of quickly after your first time doing each video, and just taking an inventory of where you need it, working on the spots that you need it most that day. Once you've finished up working on the opposite side, we'll move on. We're going to take the peanut ball or the 2 balls in the sock, and we're going to lay it in between, or our spine is going to lay in between the creases of those 2 balls. And those 2 balls are going to press on the outside of our spinal column to apply a little bit of pressure to the erector spinae muscle group. So you're going to lay back over it. You can lay with your legs out straight if you like, or with your knees bent, whatever is nice and comfy. And I want you to just focus on your breathing right now, and each exhale out, I want you to think about pushing your belly button into your backbone. Gently pressing your back into the floor and paying attention to where you feel any knots or pressure. If you find a place that makes you say, oh Lord, and almost takes your breath away, we want to stop on that place and just take a few deep breaths. And what you can do is one leg at a time. You can extend out, bracing your core as you do it, and bring it up and in, keeping your hip touching the floor, gently pulling the knee into the chest and back out, bracing the core so that we don't feel pain or tension in the lower back while we do this. Do the same thing on the other side. And going into some more work on the hips, some more kind of gentle stretching. Now that we've kind of done some more intense work, we're going to cross one leg over the other and just allow it to rest there in that position for a few deep breaths with the peanut ball under our back. And we're going to drop down to the floor and let this hip just open. You can do that same technique on the opposite side. Fast forward the video if you've already done it or if you don't need this today. Letting that leg drop on the other side, keeping the ankle crossed, letting your knee just fall to the floor and the hip is opening up. Each breath, pushing my belly button in, feeling the peanut ball in my lower back. We're going to release this position, brace the core as we move, keep both flat. And we're going to move that peanut ball just an inch or so up our back. You might notice some blood flowing to areas you haven't felt it flow in a while when that pressure comes off of the peanut ball. And we're going to do the same thing here. Deep breaths. You can continue to repeat that process. You don't have to go through each part of it. Just go through what you need. Do what feels good, what your body's telling you. Identify the places that you need it and move on. The next step would be to roll the peanut ball up a little further, and we're going to take it all the way up to just below our lowest rib. And that will be where we'll stop for today, as we're not trying to get into T-spine mobility, rather focus on the back and hips. Let's start stretching out the back. Once you've had an opportunity to really work that out, we're going to come up onto all fours. If you need more time, pause the video and keep going. If not, on all fours like this, we're going to do some cat-cows. Every time we inhale, our shoulders are going to pull back and down away from our ears. Our belly is going to fall to the floor. I said cat, this is cow. Our belly is going to fall to the floor. Eyes are up. We're taking a deep breath in, and as we exhale out, we're going to push our back up towards the ceiling like someone tied a rope around the center of us right here and it's just pulling us up. You can squeeze your butt, let your chin fall to your chest. And we're going to repeat that with the rhythm of our breath. We want to do that about 10 to 20 times. And then, one final breath in. Neutral spine. We're going to push our hips back towards our heels with our toes touching like this. Knees are open wide, hips are open wide as you press back and reach forward. You can put your forehead on the floor. If you want to take a minute here to just rock your forehead side to side and let the pressure of the floor kind of give you a nice little face massage, it actually relieves a lot of stress. We're going to come back up out of this position and onto all fours. And what I want you to do now is to take your right hand, put it across your left hand, And reach back again towards the floor. We're going to take this left shoulder and just rotate under. Feeling it stretch. On the opposite side of that lower back that we just worked out, same thing. This time we're taking our left hand over the right, pushing our hips back towards the floor, rotating the right side under to feel a good stretch through all of this. And back up into that position. The last thing that we want to do before really getting into any kind of leg workout is just a little bit of ballistic stretching. You definitely want to take the time to do this. We're going to start with some leg swings. Holding on to anything for support, even a wall. Gently swinging the leg forwards and backwards to start. Gradually increasing the intensity. Feeling it stretch through the hamstring as you swing forward, through the hip flexor as you swing backwards. You can focus on which area needs it more and kind of generate more momentum in that direction as you get more in tune with your body and what you feel and what you need. Same thing on the opposite side. If you're picky, you can switch which hand is supporting you and your balance. But it doesn't particularly matter. Each swing, the count is 1, 2, 3. We want to go to about 20 on each side. So if you started and did 10 and then switched midway through me talking about this, 20 and 20, that's what you want to do. You can go back and make those reps up. After that, we're going to start going side to side. With the same motion. Feeling it stretch through our hip and inner thigh as we swing. Going for 20 on each side. I'm not sure if you just heard that lovely pop through my hips or the door open and my family walk out, who was well aware of me making these instructional videos. So don't feel bad that we got interrupted. After 20 on each side, your hips, your lower back should be feeling nice and loose. You should be ready to go for the workout. If we've discussed anything specific that you need to do on top of this warm-up, that you need to make a regular practice or habit, make sure that you take the time out to do that. And remember that this mobility work, that really getting these hips loose, that generating the mobility through your lower back and alleviating some of the tightness and pressure, that is the most important part of the first 4 weeks of this Lotus Seed workout plan. Best of luck to you and keep up the good work.